What it do, folks? It is your boy Charles Younger here, and we are Maryland live on the Voice of College Football, coming to you straight from the gorgeous estates of Prince George's County. And I am joined here with my tag team partner, my hawk to my road warrior animal. This is Professor G. Mark Gray, how are you doing today?
Given that you're such a wrestling fan, I know you meant that with heartfelt thanks.
Yeah. For those who don't know, the Road Warriors are considered the greatest tag team of all time. They were the big jack dudes with face paint, beat the crap out of everybody. So that's what we're going to do here on the
King
Voice of College
Ho and
Football. Beat
Harold Tanaka, what you saying, fool?
it. Or
What?
maybe more like Ron Simmons and Butch Reed here from Doom. How about that? It might be more apropos for this duo here. So,
Anyway,
but but
we just
moving on.
aged ourselves out of a lot of the demographic here.
But anyway, moving on. We had a opportunity to see the talk to some players at the Maryland's practice this past Tuesday. We saw Coach Loxley. We had saw Cam Rice, who was a transfer from Miami, Ohio, who got started at Western University, had some troubles, came back, worked his way back up to Division One, playing the Big Time Conference, and Michael Hershey, who was a low-level recruit who worked his way up the system to be the starting center for the University of Maryland Terrapins. So we got some guys to talk about here, and we're going to talk about their aspects, their for the next couple coming season as the games do start next Saturday. Real football starts next Saturday. So first of all, what are your thoughts about real football starting next Saturday?
Actually, it starts tomorrow.
Mm.
It's just in another part of the world, but they
Mhm.
do have like games, a big game in Ireland somewhere. So I'm chomping at the bit to see it. It'll be interesting to see um, how Maryland is going to fare in a conference where most of the experts give them a snowball's chance. I mean, this has been not a good week for the image of, well, maybe I should say the perception of Maryland football around, because I see some people, and there were some prognosticators this week that actually have the Terps, believe it or not, doing no better than 4 wins. I've seen 4-8, 3-9 as, benchmarks of how much lack of respect that Maryland is getting right now from the so-called analysts around the country. And lest we forget, we are playing in toughest conference in America. Sorry, SEC. I'll, ride or die on that with this one for right now with the expansion. But Chuck, it's amazing to me. What we see as a team who is on the rise. There are a lot of experts sort of not buying into what we have seen, and I think that those of us who've been around to see and feel the vibe and look at the caliber of athlete that is um, in Maryland colors these days, I find it really strange. And again, I've been using since we launched the podcast the notion of Indiana giving everybody hope. They caught lightning in a bottle and did things last year that they never been able to do in that program. And God bless Lee Corso for everything he did for college football. But still, he wasn't, beating Bo Schembechler. He wasn't beating Woody Hayes, Errol Bruce, and all those guys. So it really is interesting to me to see how a lot of people around the country, despite the high level talent, the great recruiting class, they're really bearish, pardon the fun, on the Terps right now, and I don't get where that's coming from just yet. I mean, you think about it. They got a whole quarterback room full of outstanding players. Anxious to see who's going to probably get that starting job. We'll know that next week. You got a new infusion, particularly on the defensive front, and I think the athletic director has already shown that he has confidence in Mike Locksley. But I mean, this is a pivotal season for him, coming off of a 4-8 campaign a year ago. So all things considered, man, I see something that may be there that the experts don't see, but sometimes it makes you wonder, are you a little too close and just jaundiced a little bit? Because 3-8 or four, what is it, 3-9, 4-8? I just think this team is better than that, and I think they can get a couple of pelts, especially when you look at how the schedule matches up. Um, with I think they are without what Ohio State and Michigan this year.
No, they have Michigan. They don't have Ohio State or Penn
Yeah,
State this
or
year.
Penn State, right? And can we sidebar here for a second?
Mhm.
Because I wanted to know, did you hear about the latest controversy that was started by, the fine and noble gentleman known as Urban Meyer? Did you hear that? You know,
I have not heard about this Urban Meyer. I am a habitual Urban Meyer hater, so do
okay,
dish,
well,
do dish.
I'm going to try to be as objective as possible, but there was a big, he made some statements about how Jim Harbaugh was able to sort of weasel out of Michigan without any sort of professional ramifications against him following the sign stealing scandal from a few years back. Now, his head coach right now, Sharon Moore, is dealing with the ramifications of it. He's going to lose a couple of games over the course of the next 2 seasons, as I understand. But it was a sign stealing scandal. And there are a lot of people that seem to say right now that because of said scandal, Michigan won the national championship that year. And to me, for Urban Meyer, a guy who, was caught when he came back to college football on videotape, caught consorting with co-eds. I got to really and a lot of experts agreed with him. And I suppose when you're talking about the letter of the law, but I'm getting tired of the Urban Meyers and the Bruce Pearls of the world who are massive violators of all this uh, noble college athletic leadership lore. And, you're frauds. I'm sorry. We caught you with a co-ed, Urban, and Bruce Pearl. You've got like 12 violations, and you've had a show course and whatever. And to me, if you're going to be an analyst, then you're going to come down on somebody. You better have your stuff clean. And for those two guys over the past couple of weeks to open their pie holes with stuff coming out that makes no sense is a blemish on the sport on college sports. Number one. But number 2, it says a lot about the character of those gentlemen, and I will go there with my reputation on that.
Well, Urban Meyer is not known for someone with great character. If you look back at his history in college football and how he would just, you know, jump from ship to ship, from school to school, and let's not forget about what happened in that Florida team. Who there are some
You mean
characters
the
on that
Aaron
Florida
Hernandez
team.
team?
Yeah, the Aaron Hernandez team. That team
Mm,
who was. And they always say the coaches, I guess it's under your watch, so you have something you should know about these things. But anytime Urban Meyer speaks, sometimes I just turn it off because I don't want to hear anything from out of this guy's mouth. He's a hypocrite. He's a scoundrel. He's dirty. He's skeevy. He seems to always fail up. Oh, I'm going to go coach Jackson, and oh now I got a job back at Fox Sports. Oh, I just keep getting these jobs. A lot of these coaches are
sanctimonious frauds.
yeah
That's what they
yeah
are.
yeah
All right. So
yes.
I'm
Sanctimonious
tired of
fraud.
it. And it's funny how their tone changes when they get
Mm-hmm.
behind a microphone and all of that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff. Really, it's just sickening to me. But I digress. I'm sorry. Let's get back on
Let's
point
get
right
back.
here because
Yeah.
again, when I look at the analysts and the experts around the country, are we missing something that they are not? You
Yes,
know,
'cause I
and
yes.
again, I'm not saying that this team is going to compete, say, with Notre Dame and Ohio State for a
Mhm,
national championship, but 4 wins, wow. Now again, improvements in Nebraska. Okay, let's be real. Nebraska knows a thing or two about building a program, and they're going to be tough. Indiana's not going to go away. Northwestern is always a tough out. Maryland struggles with Rutgers. They split the California schools last year.
mhm.
So it's a tall order to get to 7 wins. But I think as we enter this season, realistically, right now, if I were to set the win total at 7, would you go over or stay under?
7, I'm going to take the over because a lot of the betting sites have the win total at 4.5. So I told everybody I know, take the over on that. Definitely going to get over to 4.5. But 7 is, if we want to take a quick look at the rundown of the schedule, the first 3 games is how we set the pace with FAU, Northern Illinois, and Towson. So if you don't leave the first 3 games with 3 wins, I could probably see the 7 being a struggle to get to. However, starting the Big Ten play in Wisconsin, then coming back with Washington at home, Nebraska at home, travel out west to UCLA. Who we got to talk to Justin Martin before that game because he is a former UCLA quarterback
Yeah.
and see how he might be the scout team or the guy who we want to talk to about see how we want to attack that team. Then we come back home, homecoming, that team you always like to talk about, Indiana, homecoming, Rutgers in Jersey, Illinois in Champaign, Michigan at home, and then finish the season in Ford Field against Michigan State. I could see us going in division, possibly 3 wins out of the 3 to 4 wins out of the division, out of the conference schedule, which would put us at 7 wins. So I think 7 wins is very doable this season.
Well, the funny thing about that, you're talking about going to Ford Field to play Michigan State, which is a great game.
Mm-hmm.
Because it gives Maryland an opportunity to flex in a state full of college football players that may want different kind of social life when they're looking to make their decision as far as playing college football is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's a big thing, and it's great for Turk fan because it's not that far of a drive. You can get there in about 4 or 5 hours. Make a weekend of it, the whole bit. So I really like that. But I saw on one of these college football sites that if Maryland is going to go there to play Michigan State, it would be for only the first time that team would play in that building because I see them according to one site that says they're projecting whatever the name of the bowl game is that they play in Ford Field. Maryland is expected to play Miami of Ohio from the MAC in that game. And I'll try to effort to see if I can remember where the site was. But I did see that and it raised my eyebrow just a little bit because then you start looking at okay, you see some places that are looking at Maryland as a team that isn't 500, but then you see a projection of them going to a mini bowl. And I'm just trying to find out is that the default? Is that the benchmark that we working from, or is that realistic? And I think that we'll find that out. What's that on October 6th when the rubber really meets the road in Wisconsin?
Yeah, that's going to be the pace setter there, starting with Wisconsin. But let's get into what we got to talk about this past Tuesday, and that is we had to talk to Coach Mike Loxley, who is the head football coach of the Maryland Terrapins. He talked about several things that I want to hear from him. We got about 5 minutes of him, real quick. We're going to listen to that, and we're going to react.
You're looking for 2 weeks away from the first game with those QBs for that spot?
I mean, it always goes back to who puts us in the best position to score points. I mean, we keep the metrics. We do a lot of live situations that don't have to have scrimmage behind it. I mean, we go full speed, we go thud, we go tag off, all simulating real game speed and experience. And so the guy that gives us the best chance to score points will be the guy that we name. And, we have all the metrics we need to, from the time they've all been here, to make a decision.
Even when you name the week 1 starter, is this a competition and a spot that's a little bit fluid through the first few games?
Those are the what ifs. I mean, once we name a starter, we'll deal with the daily part of who the starter is. I can't answer future things like that. Whether our starter is named day 1 is who we expect to be our guy.
Coach, obviously through a couple of weeks of practices, pair of scrimmages, do you feel like there are a couple emerging players, guys, maybe like Ryan Manning, do you feel like can kind of be playmakers?
You want me to talk about Ryan? You just dropped the Ryan Manning.
I did doing something with Ryan. I did ask guys because I noticed it.
Ryan has continued to do a great job over the course of the 3 weeks we've been in camp. He's a veteran guy that doesn't have a lot of game experience, but he's been a guy that we've seen much through the maturation we've seen some of our other receivers go through when you play behind talented players. So definitely Ryan has been one of the leaders in the room. He's one of those guys that you never have to question the amount of work that he's going to put in and how he prepares himself. But now we've got to see him just do the things in game situations.
What do you think about that? Special teams, you mentioned it. So I want to ask you, what's your message to those guys? Because a lot of guys, they come in and that's what they get placed. It's not necessarily where they want to be, but what's your message to those guys?
Good question, because literally just got finished talking. As we start creating roles and the players start creating roles for themselves, you usually can tell a lot about a team by how they play special teams, and the character of the team can be really told by just seeing the type of players on. I come from a place where I remember Devontae Smith as a gunner on the punt team, and you could not take him off. Derrick Henry, when he was the Heisman Trophy winner, played left guard on the punt team. Damian Harris played guard, and true Ty Felton, one of our best players a year ago, was also one of the best gunners we had. So when you see your best players invest in special teams, it makes it easier for some of these young players who, when you recruit them to come in, none of them just decided they wanted to come in and be the right guard on the punt team or the left tackle on the kickoff return team. But as they try to find roles and ways to get on the bus, as we like to say, for the first game, that third phase of special teams is going to be a really important phase, and this is where some of them can start to make a mark, which builds trust in the coaching staff to use them in other areas.
Can you talk about your transfers that came in? How well are they acclimating to the rest of the team?
Yeah, it's been great. We've had a core of those guys came in time for spring ball, which gives us a little head start. Then we had another wave of them come in after June 1st, and then our freshmen obviously got in on, around Father's Day. So as I said, back in Vegas, I really won't know who and what we are as a team until we kind of go through some stuff together. And I really like the way they're starting to mesh. We're doing some creative things to create the bond and the brotherhood, and I really like the way this team's starting to come together.
Coach, can you talk about the overall competition level in every room and how that individual collective competition works to the competitiveness of the team?
Yeah, it's the old iron sharpening iron. When you have talented players, and I feel really good about the way we've recruited to bring players in, when they compete and go hard in practice and we're able to stay healthy, it makes us better. I mean, competition is what really makes you get better as a team, because, as we learn around here from COVID on, that on any given day you don't know who will be out there, and we're going to have to count on the next man up mentality, and that's part of our standard. We'd love to have our starters and the guys that are the playmakers for us be healthy 100% of the time, but we also know the game of football is a physical game, and we'll lose some guys down the road, and that's why we prepare 2 and 3 platoons and guys that have to be ready. Even if they get minimum reps, they have to get the mental reps and be prepared so that when their number is called, they can step up and hold their own.
We have time for 2 more.
How confident are you in your team depth overall?
I'm a little concerned about depth. If there's one concern for me, we were one of the teams that kind of got down to the 105 that we were told we needed to be down by, and all of a sudden we can grandfather people in. But old Coach Locke's helped a lot of the walk-on players that were in this program get scholarship money at other places. So we're not as deep as maybe we've been in, throughout the years, and depth is a concern because this is a physical game, and even everyone has a role, including our scout team. And so when you have players that help you prepare, you need those numbers. And so, we'll do some creative things. We've been creative and smart in how we've practiced to protect our depth a little bit to get the good players that we need to have to the race on Saturday.
Well, that's what you want to see in your leader, somebody who projects confidence, understated confidence, nonetheless, and you got to feel good about the talent pool and the thing that um, NIL has done for the Terrapin program. I mean, you already had a great sales pitch with the area of the country that, quite frankly, young African American players don't get accustomed to, especially when they have been gone off to IMG camps and stuff like that. So, watershed moment. But I think to your point from earlier in the show, Chuck, it has to be, winning and I don't want to say it's a make or break season, but there seems to be a lot of cynicism towards towards the football program from a lot of people in this area, and I think it has a lot to do with the way that the team finished last season. And uh, I just think that in many respects, the vibe I get was while they may not be quite ready to step up with the elite teams to compete for the conference championship, they still are in a position where they're going to be a much tougher out than they were last year. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
all things considered, you got the 3 games so you can figure out who the quarterback is, number 1. But I think that we really gotta start paying attention to what happens defensively up front. I mean, that is the make or break, room, if you will, to me, 'cause it's gonna be a mix of transfers. You got a bunch of freshmen coming in. I mean, they may have depth, but there's not a whole lot of experience there. And in this league, you have to be physical up front. You have to set the tone early, and it has to remain a part of your playing personality. And I think there is really something to keep an eye on in the first month to 6 weeks of the season, how the defensive line handles things up front, because you it's the classic case of old school football at the core principles of the Big Ten. Teams who run well and stop the run normally win. Now, we do have high flying offensive attacks at, say, Oregon, USC. I think UCLA still trying to figure it out. But for the most part, the successful teams ground and pound. And in order to win, you have to have stern, um, defense in the trenches. And I think to me, therein lies the whole key to the season right there, Chuck. If the defense can hold up against the big physical teams and just make a few plays in the secondary, I think this team does win 6 or 7 games, if not 8.
I can see that, and I just came across this story about a player. You talk about defense. Um, Sydney Stewart, defensive end, true freshman, 3-star recruit. He was getting a lot of buzz here in College Park. He's surprising. He's also another local kid, cousin of Derek Queen. So
Okay.
the basketball player. So trying to keep that Maryland in the family. You know what I'm saying? So keep that Maryland
Hmm.
family. He's been doing a lot of battle at defensive end. Wish we had the opportunity to talk to him Tuesday, but hopefully he'll be available. The next media availability, we can talk to him about his progression. Who missed his senior year in high school, battling. Uh, battling for that starting defensive end spot here for the Terps. And also we did talk about to Cam Rice as well. We talked to him a little later about his role in the defense and how much as being a veteran college football player who had transferred in from Miami, Ohio, who's going to be a leader by example. So at the end of the day, it's all going to come out to this defense. This team was torched last year, big plays. We played some of the most explosive offenses in college football with Oregon and Ohio State. So you're going to expect some, some points against teams that caliber of that. But the quality is keeping the teams that we should beat down and beat them when they're on the schedule. So that way, when it comes to the big time schools, we'll have a little bit of I would just say a buffer of wins to get that win total of around seven wins.
Yeah, but remember, you've got Towson on the schedule, which
Mm-hmm.
won't qualify towards a bowl game if you win.
Yes,
All right, that's
correct.
so the benevolence of let's be real for a second, of the big state school to take care of one of its own
Mm-hmm.
uh could come back to bite them in terms of getting a upper tier or even a
Mm-hmm.
bowl game itself. So you got to be mindful of those, and that's why every game counts. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'd love to be in a position where we were in one of those uh really high end contending preseason expectations type situations right now. But Rome was not built in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, again, There's an organization that is in transition and is still learning on the fly. You've got some new opportunities and new tools to work with that you know how it is in training for your any job. It takes you a while to figure the mix and the flow and what works together. So this is a transition time, but strictly from a fan base perspective, Chuck, um, with the disappointment of the baseball franchises on either side of the parkway, all right, and coupled with, well, I mean, on the south side of the parkway, when you talk about disappointment in Wizards and Capitals, I think people have gotten used to it. But there's an air of enthusiasm always in Baltimore around the Ravens and in DC now around the Commanders. If Maryland is able to be in the mix in the Big Ten, that changes the whole dynamic of everything because they'll ride the wave of energy from both sides of the parkway and then they get buoyed. Conversely, if they can pick up a couple of wins like on October 6th at Wisconsin, after 3 wins against teams that they should be favored by, you talking about momentum. And that's where it starts. So I saw it happen with Bobby Ross. Um, I saw it happen, I guess, with Ralph Friedgen one time too. There's heck, I can go back as far as Jerry Claiborne when the Terps went to the Cotton Bowl when the Cotton Bowl was played every year on New Year's Day. So I've seen the momentum build before, and I think we could be on the cusp, especially with the infusion of kids from the area. But they got to pack those wins, those first 3 games, and some might say pull a rabbit out of their hat when they get to Madison, but that's what you go to Madison for, you dig?
I dig. I dig. But it's funny because I know we didn't get to hear from him about the quarterback battle because he said he's not going to let that slide until probably the week before the game starts. So between Justin Martin, Christian Martin, and Malik Washington, we still don't know who's going to be taking snaps under center. Who he said that thing is that whoever gives them the best chance to score points. And at that point, at this time right now, we still don't know that yet.
Which is concerning a bit, if you ask me. I mean, you would have thought that by now somebody would have stepped up. I appreciate the brotherhood and the camaraderie in the room, but at the end of the day, I've often heard coaches say if you've got 3 quarterbacks, then you don't have one. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
uh I'm just wondering, is the competition and it must be because they haven't made a decision as of yet, and it's probably going to go right down to the wire. I think it's going to be one of the best kept sports secrets in the DMV, kind of like about when or if Terry McLaurin is going to play this year type of deal. I mean, this is a very, very top secret, high level uh, insider intelligence needed type of conversation. But where do you fall on that, bro? I mean, again, and we've had the opportunity to meet all 3 of these guys, so we not, there's no favorites here, right? I
Mhm.
mean, all 3 of the guys as a girl dad, I wouldn't have either one of those men come over to date my daughter and wouldn't feel good about her coming home safe. All right, let's
Yeah.
let's be clear about that. But sometimes knowing quarter some former professional quarterbacks like I do, and knowing some guys who played high level college football, the one thing that you can't put a price on in that huddle is a big ego. And while
Mhm.
a lot of people look down on the quarterback for having too much ego, if you don't have an alpha dog in the huddle, you're going to get beat down. And that's just how it is. And I'm wondering, to me, we all know that they all have a similar skill set. They're athletic, they got big, strong arms, they're extremely smart. But at some level, when you got a physical um, talent equality, if you will, there's intangibles that may make the difference, and I think it's interesting to note that you've got Pep Hamilton and Ted White in that room. They know what it's like to be alpha dogs, okay? And big time pressure situations and even performing at the next level. I want to know what the intangible is that they're looking for. Is it about, reads, check downs, um, getting out of bad play calls and into something better? Or is it that fire and brimstone? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just got to be like, I remember, God knows, 19, let's say 80, 79, Cotton Bowl. Joe Montana has the flu. His team's getting beat by University of Houston at halftime. He drinks on some chicken soup, comes out. They rally from like a 3-4 touchdown deficit to win the game. I'm wondering, is that dude in the locker room right now? I'll bring it back home. I remember Maryland coming from behind with Frank Reich at the helm against the U. Okay. I remember that. I remember that very, very well. We've seen it before. Everybody looked at Frank Reich as the understudy to Boomer Esiason, and then when he got his chance to shine, he did his thing. I'm wondering, are we going to have, and just for the context of Maryland football history, who's going to be the Frank Reich dude that just comes in and takes over and says, I'm that dude. Get on my back. Let's do this. And sometimes great quarterbacks have to be selfish to do that. I think in some
Explain Mr. Frank Reich how he did that
what'd
in
you say?
college, and explain how Mr. Frank Reich how he did that in college and the pros, coming off the
Right.
bench to save a
There's
team
something to say
season.
for that though. And
Mhm.
we'll not you would never remember Frank Reich for anything that he did up under center, but you remember those two moments, those two
Mhm.
games. That defined him. You know what I'm saying? So I think to me that's what I'm looking for in that position right now. I think
Mhm.
that to me, and I don't, the coaches are a lot closer to him than we are, but their personalities are similar, their skill sets are similar. I guess if you're looking for the execution in practice, I guess that will probably be the decisive factor. But there are those intangibles of being able to rally somebody where at that position. Quarterback is to me probably next to the major league baseball catcher, the toughest position in team sports because you in control of a
Mhm.
lot out there. And if you and your receiver aren't on the same page, you and your coach ain't on the same page, you look out there and see something and it's different. So it's a really tough challenge, but I will say this, Terp fan, you got two guys who knows what a starter looks like, and they will
Mhm.
put the team and him in position to win that game. Who that kid is, I don't know. I just can't wait to see it.
Well, I believe from a PR point of view, you might want to go with the freshman Malik Washington, who was a four-star recruit, highest rated quarterback recruit coming to Maryland in a long time. Yeah, that might get the fan base excited. Like, who? This kid might be something. Now give you 3 to 4 years of somebody under center who can be that
Well, if
guy
he
for this
comes in
team.
as a freshman, you'll probably have him for 1 to 2 years, three
Mm.
as the max, because you
Well,
know
yeah,
how it is. We're dealing with the NIL thing, though.
yeah.
But
Well,
your
then
point
they
is
also have
well
a
taken.
yeah, they also have they have a redshirt freshman who might be able to who was been here for he was here last year, and Christian Martin, who might be that guy as well. But Justin Martin, like I said, the veteran who coming from UCLA, who's got some Big Ten experience. It's a crapshoot. I think you roll the dice to see who comes up first to be the number one guy in Maryland. But let's
Or
switch
you always
to
have the doors to the bullpen open.
yeah. Let's go
You
to
know
the
what I'm saying?
bullpen. Give me Vaughn.
You know, which
Yeah.
which again, going into the season, this is an embarrassment of riches, and you're glad
Mhm.
that you have it. You just hope
Mhm.
that it doesn't turn into like the revolving door as you continue
Mhm.
to try to look. But with these guys, man, I don't think so. I really don't,
Mhm.
especially with Malik Washington. Um,
Mhm.
when you've been through the conference and you know a thing or two about the league and what you got to do it. Um, and given I'm speaking strictly in intangibles because I'm not in the meetings and I'm not looking at the films. I'm speaking strictly with intangibles, but those would be the intangibles. You know, uh, as a veteran, he's had to lead, and all that kind of stuff before, but he is coming in new. to an environment and trying to find his place. But to me, I would think that purely on paper, that would probably give him the inside track. But these are uncharted college times, man.
Mm.
It's as much about the opportunity as it is about the dollar sign because they correlate now. So it'll be interesting to see. But glad to have three. It'll be interesting to see which one stands out and can stay healthy for an entire season.
Yeah, that's true. And let's switch. Let's flip to the other side of the ball. And we had the opportunity to speak with Cam Rice. He is a Maryland defensive lineman. He has quick little background for folks who don't know who he is. He appeared in 12 games last year and had one star at Ohio State University. At Ohio University. We don't get those confused. In 2024, we recorded 30 tackles, 8.5 sacks, tackle for loss. 8.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks for the Bobcats. Before that, he played at West Liberty University, recorded 89 tackles, 37
I've
for
been to
loss.
West Liberty University.
Yeah,
Yes, I have. It's in West
that's
Liberty, West Virginia. Beautiful campus.
yes. That's one thing West Virginia does. Those campuses might not be much to do, but the campuses are gorgeous out there.
Yeah,
And
and you know what's even more scary is that you have to ride up a incline on a
yeah.
mountain for like 3 miles.
Mm.
Pretty scary,
That's
but
that's
beautiful campus.
yeah. Yeah, that's not a big deal for me. I grew up in a similar area out in the Shenandoah Valley. We were used to drive up and down, single lane mountain mountain roads. So just don't speed. That's all there is. It's very simple. Just don't speed. But
Now, Chuck, you
while
do
at
realize I was the kid that was born where you have potholes in your lawn, right?
yeah.
Okay, just wondering. For those
uh,
of y'all of a certain age, that's a great lyric from a hip hop tune where he's gone days gone by. What was that, Tribe
uh,
Called Quest?
Jack Quest, yes. Rice was a Division II All American in 2023, winning the Harlan Hill Trophy nominee. He was Harlan Hill Trophy nominee, which is Division II College Player of the Year, and he was a 2023 Cliff Harris Award finalist for Small College Defensive Player of the Year. And he did have his start at West Virginia University in Morgantown, where he's originally from. He was a hometown kid, went to his hometown school, and then he had to rebuild himself up from the ground up from Division II back to Division I. So let's hear from Cam Rice about what he had to say about at the Tuesday's press conference.
And really get to know the team and build that chemistry.
What kind of things have you picked up from Coach Leggett so far?
A ton of stuff. He played a long time in the NFL, and he just pours into us everything that he knows and everything he's learned along his way. So we're all taking that and running with it, you know what I mean?
I know you got here in June, so I guess what do you feel like maybe you've picked up well, or do you feel like maybe it was a little bit easier transition just kind of from Ohio to Maryland?
Yeah, I think, like you guys said, just acclimating myself within the locker room, getting to know the guys and building chemistry and that camaraderie within the locker room has been really great.
Can you break down your transfer to Maryland a little bit? How did the Terps kind of, check off all your boxes?
Yeah, I mean, they checked every box. It's close to home. Play against good competition here in the Big Ten. The locker room, I loved meeting the guys on my visit, and the scheme and the coaches, honestly. There's a lot of NFL ties, and I think we've got really something special here.
Hey, you talk about going from West Virginia down to Division II to back up Division I. Talk about that. How that transition in your life in playing football here in college?
Yeah, it was kind of a rocky road going from West Virginia P4 down to Division II, but everything. I believe everything happens for a reason, and it gave me the opportunity to get to Ohio and then get to Maryland now. So I think everything happens for a reason.
Can you talk about the changing culture shock between Morgantown and College Park area? Like, obviously you're from a smaller town to the DC area, so talk about how that transition's worked for you.
Yeah, I think it's been pretty smooth. Morgantown, it's more of like a college town than being here in College Park. It's more like city life and things like that. But I don't get too wrapped up in all that. I just kind of focus on football and just live my life that way.
Cam's gonna have to really step up because that's the biggest place that they were depleted by departure last year. When you consider they lost 5 players, to graduation and the portal and the like. This is according to Testudo Times. The four
Mm.
players, Jordan Phillips, Tommy Aguimasode, Levon Johnson, and Taisi Johnson, combined for 87% of snaps last year,
Mhm.
and they got to be replaced. Now, the flip side to that was Maryland's defense gave it up a little something last year, and it'll be interesting to see how. And again, I'm using this reference only because it's the reference that coaches are using now. It'll be interesting to see how the money Maryland spent turns up benefiting the program, certainly on the defensive front. Because there's no doubt about it, Chuck. They got to get better, got to get much better in order to just stay in games with the elite in this league.
Yeah, he's going to be required to put some pressure on the quarterback, him and his fellow defensive lineman, because that's one thing. If you can disrupt the quarterback, you can disrupt the passing game, disrupt the offense, and protect your. Well, I remember one of the coaches said that their DBs is one of their weak spots last year. So you can help that deficiency by getting more pressure on the quarterback, by getting that quarterback, to hurry his throws, rush his throws to where he's like not on key with those receivers. So hopefully Cam Rice and several other defensive linemen can step their game up and get that pressure, like I said, and he also, stop the run too, because Maryland was not good at all, especially the game last year in defense. So as a person who, like I said,
And it'll be interesting to see what kind of concepts that Ted Monachino
mhm,
implements to even if the guys aren't able to physically stand there, what kind of stunts and all those kind of gimmicks that you're going to add to your defensive packages and stuff like that. But if there's an improvement, I'm pretty sure fans would be living large, right?
yeah, yeah. Oh well, like I said, the kid looks like he's got a good head on his shoulder. He's
Hmm.
there to work. And
And
at the
he's
end of the day,
also looks like he's got shoulders
yeah,
to
and
carry a defensive front.
it amazes me. He's listed at 6'2", 303, but he doesn't look 303 pounds. It's like I don't know what it is. It's like I was looking, I was staring him eye to eye, and obviously the pads make him look wider, but he doesn't look like he's 303 pounds, which is interesting.
It was just like with Dylan Fontes. Remember
Hmm.
we went to the first media day, right? We
Yes,
talked to
yes,
Dylan Fontes. I'm like, dude, what are you about? 265? He said, no, I'm 295. I'm saying, whoa, wait a minute, what happened to the swole dude? That was like
yeah,
fitting him with it. So definitely big up for the guys and ladies who are in the training department over there, because those dudes are specimens. I mean, like I said, the whole team, if there is any body fat on that team, is probably 2%.
mm,
I
yeah,
mean, for the entire team.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a quick shout out to the weight and strength and conditioning team at their Maryland, because they made these guys bulk up, and they still don't. Like I said, you think
That's what I'm saying.
linemen, you think big boys, corn-fed boys are just like gradings, like slow and lumbering guys. These guys are big, but they're athletic, they're quick, they're agile. They have great explosiveness, they have lateral movement. It's ridiculous how these guys are this big and this talented, this athletic.
Well, it's crazy, isn't it? And I remember walking some SEC sidelines back in the day with some real, terrorizing offensive and defensive linemen. But they
Mhm.
weren't like fit. They had a little body fat, and there was a time where some coaches were cool with that as long as you were athletic enough to carry it. Now it's a new world order, man. I mean, they sculpted, they tight, they limber. I really am anxious, however, to see how they match up in the trenches against the most physical teams in the conference. And again, I said it at the beginning of the show, dog, where you know if you're going to win in this league, you got to win the battles up front. All right. And you can't wear down during the season. Although Maryland would look to have a rotation now that has about 6, maybe 7 deep in terms of that O-line thing. And I thought Coach Loxley also gave us a little window into how you construct a travel team, where some people have to double up and play some line positions on special teams just to be able to, quote, get on the bus, end quote. I don't think too many of these offensive and defensive linemen that we've seen over there in Maryland already have are going to have problems making the bus. The question is, what are they going to do when they get off it? You know?
That's true. That's true. And they are. I'm trying to think the best word to describe it is husky. Is not the word to describe these guys. So
No.
We got to find new word. We got to go to Webster's dictionary and create a new word for how we define defensive linemen.
What was that? The Fantastic Four, the Demolition Man, and all those dudes? Because that's what this is. I mean, these guys, yeah, man. You know, and again, the energy that you get from Ted Monachino, and this is where the 3 games against, you know, non-Big Ten caliber opponents help Maryland out, because I think they'll be able to work on a few things and learn, you know, how to get pressure on the quarterback, what kind of run stunts that you can use that could be somewhat effective in terms of stopping the ground and pound that is the Big Ten, right? So all things considered, man, I think the schedule makers did a really good job to put them in a position to hit the ground running, barring significant injuries. And I mean, I can say it just because I'm a talking head. I'm pretty sure none of the coaches would appreciate me saying that. But you know, the first 3 games are 3 games that they supposed to win.
Yeah, and speaking of,
and you would like to see with, I'm not going to say ease, but with a level of low stress, right? And no injuries. That's the whole key.
Well, hopefully, Coach Corey Leggett who works directly with defensive line, will get these guys ready to roll starting going out week 1. And last player we talked to, who had the opportunity to talk to, is Michael Hershey, who is from a kid from Pennsylvania. Wasn't a great recruit coming out.
Pennsylvania, yeah.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking to myself, like, does this kid know anything about Hershey chocolates? Because he might be in the family will here. But if you want to look at somebody who, you want to talk about the strength and conditioning team for Maryland. As a freshman, he was 6'4", 265. On signing day, he bulked up to 292 as a true freshman. As a sophomore, he's 295. Coming to his junior year, coming to sophomore year, he's 295. So he put on 30 pounds of muscle in a little over a year. And he's going to be very important in this offense. I believe he's going to be the starting center moving forward. I mean, this kid, he's very humble. He seems very nervous talking on camera when we talked to him on Tuesday. He was like very like, yeah, sure, it sounds great. You know, very quiet, very humble. But you know, he's from a small town in the middle of Pennsylvania.
He got that Forrest Gump quality about him.
He's got that farm. He grew up
like a box of chocolate.
He grew up on a farm. That's
why I'm Michael Hershey.
Yeah, he's a farm boy. And he a couple of things that fans should need to know about this kid. He said he's only a 3-star recruit, appeared in 6 games as a freshman. He was a 2-time all-county lineman, playing both offensive and defensive line. He also wrestled in high school and placing 7th in the PIAA wrestling championships. And he chose Maryland over Charlotte, Yale, and Delaware. He's got the smarts. So if Yale was an option, this is colleges he can go to.
Well, so we're going to listen to. But again, he probably wanted to get away from home, right? You know, and enjoy a different lifestyle. Because and I mean, I guess you could do a lot worse than New Haven, but New Haven is not College Park, Maryland.
No, he's from Spring Grove.
When I worked at the Worldwide Leader, I would drive to New Haven to get my hair cut.
Wow, how far of a drive was that?
30 minutes. About from PG County to Baltimore, something like that. Yeah,
no, that's not terrible. But yeah, so you know he's far enough away from home to where he can get some different lifestyle, but he's not too far from home where his family can't come see him. Spring Grove, Pennsylvania is only, let's take a quick look there. It's not far. It's probably like maybe 2-3 hours from here. So he's, you know, close enough to home, but far enough away from home to where he doesn't have to, you know, get different lifestyle. Like I said, being a country boy. Let's hear from Michael Hershey and what he had to say about his time coming to Maryland.
I mean, everything's leveraged, kind of balanced. So, like, growing up, I wasn't the best at wrestling, but
Talk about your wrestling background, how you applied those skills to being a lineman.
yeah, I mean, everything's leveraged, kind of balanced. So, like, growing up, I wasn't the best at wrestling, but once I got to high school, I started picking things up, saw it kind of relate to the field. I mean, keep my hands inside, stay lower, kind of more explosive off the ball. So.
What do you think you've improved on from last season?
Definitely the playbook. I mean, we're developing a playbook, so like as an offensive center, you got to know every play, make the call. So it's definitely a lot better than it was last year.
Michael, you're a science major. Are you helping some of your teammates with that a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm getting there. It's just, you know, how coming in freshman year, you're taking all gen eds and stuff, but it's fun to learn. So come this fall, we're definitely going to be taking a lot more classes in finance. So I'm excited.
You kind of talked about the run game earlier. What have you kind of seen, you know, from guys like, you know, Nolan Reid, DeJuan Williams, just kind of building up last season?
Yeah, I mean, guys like them, like, they're always going to be hard. They're always going to be reliable. Like, I can always depend on them. It just starts with the line up front. Like, we need to get guys off the ball, make holes for them, and they'll be successful this year.
Gotcha. And I know, obviously, you know, you're an interior guy, but just being able to work with Coach Robo again for second season, what kind of things do you feel like?
He'll always give us leadership opportunities, give us advice, push us. He's always there for us, and he's a great coach, guy to lean on. If you need anything, he's always there. So he cares about us, and if you do the right things and give him effort, he'll put the same back into you.
And you're a PA case of Steelers or Eagles?
Neither of them. I'd say Denver Broncos.
Ooh.
Why though? Peyton Manning. So I grew up watching him. He's a big role model for me.
No, any Peyton Manning Colts?
Huh?
No Peyton Manning on the Colts?
Denver.
Yes. Can't say Denver enough if you're from this area. I bet you it comes from a good line of long suffering, heartbroken, never be the same till they pass away Baltimore Colts fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I will promise at some point during the course of the season, I will represent for the beloved Colts. I will.
Yeah,
I still have Baltimore Colts gear.
Were you around? Were you there watching the?
Yes, I was around for the migration. Yes,
yeah.
I saw that. I watched it live, local, and late breaking on the news.
It's
almost as troubling as when Willie Stargell hit the home run in '79 that I'm never going to get over.
That's still some shady business. I can't believe that's how the Colts decided they went to leave Maryland, but I digress.
Yeah, please don't.
But so the kid talks about a lot about his learning. What I want to talk about is like his wrestling, which is another reason I always want to talk to people. Like, get your kids involved in multiple sports because those skills translate over to the other sports. He was a wrestler, so it was about leverage, positioning, hands, technique, how that applies to being an offensive lineman. So he's going to be able to use getting low and how he's getting his hands inside and be able to drive defensive lineman off the ball. So that's going to be huge especially for this running game because he talked about. We didn't get a chance to hear this whole interview, but he talks about working on the running game and loving how to do inside runs and loving how to imposing his will on defensive linemen. So that's going to be something interesting to look at too as well. It's like he is I would say the quarterback is the most important. I think the center is just as important as the quarterback because first of all, that exchange from center to quarterback is probably the most important play in all football because that doesn't go right starting off. The whole play is dead.
And traditionally, the smartest guy on the team, the center is, believe it or not. It's the thankless position in football, but it's the ability to control the line and recognize what you got to do to adjust when the quarterback makes his adjustment to what he sees coming to the line of scrimmage. So there is something to be said for that job.
Would you say it's like that relationship is like the pitcher-catcher relationship? Like if they're on the same page, nothing is going to go right?
True. Yeah,
Mm.
but what can happen is in baseball, the variable would be they could be on the same place, but the pitcher may not be able to execute the pitches. They just won't have it that
Mhm.
day. And if you don't have it that day as an offensive lineman, um, your quarterback may be compromised for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So,
But
I mean, but to your point, it is people don't understand the calls. Like if as an example, the quarterback goes Omaha, Omaha, we're killing the play. Here comes the new cadence for another play, and then on the fly, the guy with the ball between his legs has got to communicate the protections to the lineman, and it's a really nuanced type of thing to be straight with you. But the moral to the story is don't sell the center short because great offensive lines pretty much do in fact start at the center in the middle. Everybody talks about the tackles on the ends, but that middle. If you got problems up the middle, it can be a long and painful season for everybody in the offensive backfield.
And Michael Hershey's going to have his first big test. And that first Big Ten game in Wisconsin against Madison against Wisconsin, who are known for their, what you call them,
Well,
their
they
big boys.
beat you up, man.
Yeah.
And that's their game plan. They're going. You know what you're going to get from Wisconsin. It's nothing going to be fancy about it. Same thing with Illinois.
Mm.
We're going to beat you into submission.
Mm.
Period. Point blank. You're the wrestling fan in this relationship. So
Yeah.
so you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. In the words of Steve Austin, they're going to stop a mud hole and walk it dry.
Yeah, there it is. See, that is what it's all about. The big guys in the middle. So before we get out of here, since we're talking about the kid from Pennsylvania whose name is Hershey, what's your favorite Hershey candy bar? Or I mean, because they had layers to it, man. You had the Hershey regular milk chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
You had the Hershey regular milk chocolate with nuts or with almonds, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you had the Mr. Good bar, which was another chocolate and peanutty candy bar. And then I think they have the little Hershey Kisses.
Oh, yeah, the little drops.
Quartet, quintet, or whatever. Which is your favorite Hershey?
I'm the OG dude, man. I like just the classic Hershey's bar. It's simple. It's to the point, and you just crumble them up, put in some ice cream. But my second favorite is the Hershey's Cookies and Cream, which it's pretty recent. It's probably been around for maybe 10 years or so, where it's like a white chocolate with the chocolate chips, the little chunks of cookie in it. So it's like a cookies and cream Hershey bar, which is actually pretty good too. I had one the other day. I was like, if it wasn't for these trying to keep my sugar intake down, I have more. But all day, the original OG Hershey's bar is probably my number one draft pick. And
the number one draft pick, just Hershey. And to me, I'm different, Mr. Good bar. I mean,
all right.
Everything you get with Hershey's milk chocolate and nuts. And somehow I think that kind of personifies my life, my friend. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Chocolate nuts.
But before we get to our last, I want to play a little segment about the voice of
college football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the voice of college football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the plus-year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Brada. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
Can we make?
I was going to say, what
What
happened
happened
to
to my
you? You
camera?
disappeared. People don't want to see my face, at least not by itself.
No, it's weird.
There
Here
you
we go. I'm back. There I am. Woo! Yeah. Sometimes my computer settings like to just like, nope, we won't listen to you anymore. But yes. Okay, the sound effects there. I like it. So
No, that's
speaking of best,
those are your fans, man. Literally
yeah,
ones of them.
yeah, in front of the dozens of fans out there. So
That's
I
not take
want
them
to talk.
crazy ones. All the more
For
reason
most
for
people
you
out there,
folks to tell everybody in the DMV to check out the best college football coverage of Maryland football here on the Voice of College Football each and every Friday. And then I guess we're going to figure out a day to recap, right?
we'll let you out the recap. Probably maybe a Monday. It might be the best day to do recaps. But we are going to talk a little bit about fantasy football because most people have their drafts coming up this next few weeks. We might dig a little bit more in this next week as well. But there are some Maryland Terps who you should target in some of your drafts who have been consistently good players for a long period of time. And first, it's funny. I did this little research earlier. I looked at most of our best players are on defense during the NFL. So unless you're in the IDP independent defensive player leagues, which is another world, which is like that's too much more. That's too much to get into right now. But we might get into that a little later. These three players, I think, are your pretty much you're going to be going to every roster in every team in fantasy football. Starting off with Stephon Diggs, who recently joined the New England Patriots as a wide receiver. Just give you a little quick little recap of Diggs. He's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000-yard seasons out of his in his career, starting with the Vikings. Then he moved. Starting with the Vikings. Then he moved to Buffalo, and then last year he had a subpar year in Houston, only playing 8 games due to injury. But he's coming into camp. Hopefully, he's healthy. Projections probably looking around like a 5th to 6th round pick in most standard drafts. He is a Maryland alum. He has a lot of the records that were broken by the guy we're talking about a little later. And what are your thoughts of Stephon Diggs and how he's going to perform this year with the New England Patriots with quarterback Drake May?
Drake May.
Yes, Drake May's the quarterback throwing him the ball. So he went from
Wow.
Case Keenum and who else was in there in Minnesota? Then he went to Josh Allen, Buffalo. That was not good enough for him.
Well,
He went to Houston with CJ Stroud, but he's injured. So that's say what you want about that season.
you know something?
But this year,
I'll say this: he can make Drake May and the Patriots, who I think are a sleeper team in the AFC East. I really think they're going to be a lot better than advertised. They got the Ohio State running back whose name escapes me right now, but he just took one to the house against Washington's football team, the Commanders, in the first preseason game. What is it, Travion Henderson? Maybe does that sound about
yes,
right?
Shea
The
Henderson,
running
yes,
back, man.
yes.
So you have speed like that, and if Stephon Diggs' head is on straight, he's still one of the top 10 receivers in the league. But unfortunately, it seems like I don't know if his act wears thin on people or he just gets bored and frustrated. But that's a good pickup for the Patriots, man. And with discipline in that organization now with Mike Vrabel as head coach, don't sleep on them in the AFC East. And if they do make a run, it'll be because Stephon Diggs catches at least 50 passes, and it'll be interesting to see how he handles playing outside in the cold for a change, But he went to Buffalo, so he should have reacclimated himself after playing all those years in the dome in Minnesota.
Yeah, and he's played Buffalo twice this season. He probably has something to prove against them. Say, hey, the reason why he left Buffalo because I think he felt like he was disrespected, underpaid, etc. So he's going to have a good opportunity to show Buffalo what they're missing on as a number 1 receiver for the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
So next guy I want to talk about is a personal fantasy football favorite of mine, and that is DJ Moore. he's playing in the Windy City with the Bears after playing several years in Carolina. He's going to have Caleb Williams throwing him the ball, who's looking to improve on some.
He's looking to play like a number one quarterback. Say it, Chuck.
Yeah,
Your first player picked in the draft, and it didn't work out so well last year for him.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got DJ Moore coming on, who we know can be a perfect. I mean, the thing about Chicago is they've never had a 4,000-yard passer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about that. Now, again, it's not like that franchise has had an illustrious group of quarterbacks. I mean, the best of the modern day was who? Jim McMahon. And
I mean,
a lot
they're
of
best
people
statistic
who are
quarterback.
tuning into this right now think we're talking about a kid that's related to Vince McMahon, and they were two totally separate ends of the McMahon food tree, if you will. But
Yeah, we don't want to speak about Vinnie Mac too much these days.
yeah, but I'll say this. It may be a risk because you don't know what you're gonna get with Caleb Williams, but if you can get him in the later rounds, I think you pick him up. If he's
Mhm.
available, 6, 7, 8 round, I think this is a good one because there's a 50-50 chance that the light clicks for Caleb Williams, and if it does, DJ Moore will have a lot to do with his success.
And my favorite thing about DJ Moore is he is consistently healthy. Uh, he's played in every game for the past. He's played every game that he started since 2019. So he's played 2019, 15 games played, 15 starts. 2020, 15 games played, 14 starts. And 2021, 17, 22, 17, 23, 17, 24, 17. He's been healthy. He's on the field. The best ability is availability. And
That
this
is true.
man,
You're right.
and he is like he's not going to. He's got good speed to blow away. He over the top. He's a strong guy. He can go across the middle. This guy can get you, and especially in the PPR league where you're getting points per reception. He's averaged the last 2 years 97 catches the last 2 years. So think about that. 97 catches. That means he's always there. And 2 years before that, his last year in Carolina, he had 93 catches. So he's never had less than, as a full-time starter, never had less than 66 catches. So while he's healthy. So that proves the fact that this guy is going to be I wouldn't say he's number one. He's not your elite guy. He's not your Jamar Chase. He's not your Justin Jefferson, but he's a solid number 2 in your fantasy lineups.
Yeah, he got that Terry McLaurin quality about him. For
Mm-hmm.
those of you in the DMV, right?
Mm.
I put him in that tier, which is not to diminish the significance of former Ohio State wide receiver, I might add, Terry McLaurin, who should be getting paid in Washington. But that's a topic for another conversation right now. But to your point with DJ Moore, man, it'd be interesting to see if it clicks with Caleb Williams this year. You got a quarterback guru. What was that? Ben Johnson is the coach there now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
everybody's expecting this modified offense that Caleb Williams should flourish in. And if he's going to flourish, I think DJ Moore could be one of those kind of guys that, catches somewhere between 65 and 90 balls, man. I mean, he's that guy. And Maryland does put out receivers. Make no mistake about that.
And if Ben Johnson could do for Caleb Williams what he did for Jared Goff, I think DJ Moore is going to be one of those picks. He's like around week 6, 7. You're like, this guy's been putting up numbers like crazy. So, but my last guy I want to talk about is my sleeper pick for everybody out there, and it's going to be interesting because the fact that he was a 3rd round pick for the Minnesota Vikings. He is going to be getting a lot more looks than normal because Jordan Addison is suspended for the first few games this season. So Ty Felton, who was drafted this past year, set all the records for Maryland receivers last year. He's going to get opportunities as a slot receiver, probably the number 2. He's going to get opportunities as a returner. So if your league scores for return yards, return touchdowns, that's going to add to his value as well. And he ran like a 4.37 in the combine, so he's got good,
he's pretty much
good top end speed. He's going to be that. He can be that your flex spot, every week when you're trying to figure out who you want to start. It's like he can get you maybe on an average good game, like 3 to 5 catches for 80 to 100 yards, a touchdown, maybe like 60 yards returns, just adds its overall value. So
So that's
for
between
leagues,
maybe what, 12, 15 points?
yes, it can get anywhere
Yeah.
on the high end, like 15 points. So if your league gives points for returns, yards, and return touchdowns to individual players, this guy in the late, after round 10, you see him sitting on the board, and you have a spot. You gotta see you have all your wide receiver spots filled. You have all your running back spots filled. Pick this guy up. See what he can do for you. I think
That's
as
a
a
good look.
return guy, as a slot receiver, this kid can probably do something special in fantasy, in real football and in fantasy.
And given that you got a quarterback like J.J. McCarthy, who is projected at starting in Minnesota,
Hmm.
trying to get his feet wet, this is the guy that you just, he may be a receiver, but there used to be this position called wingback. Just
Hmm.
get him the damn ball. There was a
Hmm.
guy named Anthony Carter who played at Michigan, and older heads will remember him from back in the day. And he was a brilliant guy at that wingback position before playing at least 10 years in the league. Ty Felton is that kind of guy, potentially for J.J. McCarthy. So to your point, I think a lot of people are sleeping on him, and in those leagues. And I think he could be one of those guys that if you pick up now and you in a keeper league, you'll keep him for a couple years, barring injury. I think that dude right there can do so many things with the football that creative offensive play callers like Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota will find ways to get him the ball, and it'll make for an easier life for J.J. McCarthy, the little short stuff, and let him do his things, get some linemen out there in the flats and let him do it. But the Ty Felton to Minnesota Vikings um, pick speaks volumes, Chuck. That was a sleeper pick, and I hadn't been paying a lot of attention to it throughout the course of the offseason. But that's your athlete. That's the guy that they're going to make. Trust me on this. They're going to make him the get him the damn ball guy, and
Mm.
the get him the damn ball guys are the guys that put up a lot of points, especially in the leagues like you're in.
Yeah, and like I said, he's got Justin Jefferson on the other side, so all the
Mm-hmm.
pressure
Mm-hmm.
is going to be on Justin Jefferson. So he's going to have all this room to run around and make some plays. Those wide receiver screens, like I said, those inside bubble screens, returns. So he can probably surprisingly get you maybe 50 plus catches this year for like 700 plus yards and maybe
Wow.
6 to 8
You
touchdowns.
giving him a 50 burger
If
coming out
with
the box?
Well, as an out on the shelf due to suspension for I think it's 4 to 6 games. I can't remember. It's 4 or 6 games for
Yeah, I forgot
violating.
about that.
That's going to give him a lot more opportunities. And then as it comes back, he's going to have 2 guys to take pressure off him on the outside as he works his way in the middle. So I'm just saying he's going to have the opportunity to step his game up. JJ McCarthy is his team. They got rid of Sam Darnold to say, JJ, you are the man. We are going to we're riding you to the championship if we possibly can. And Todd Felton is going to be that X factor in the Vikings offense that's going to put up. Like I said, they're going to have 3. They'll probably run 3 wide because I think their tight end is T.J. Hawkinson, who would have been a third option, who's not been the T.J. Hawkinson we've known from his days in Detroit. So
Yeah,
this is
since
the
he got hurt. Yeah.
yeah. So this is the third option at worst a receiver, and their running game is kind of hit or miss. Aaron Jones Jr. is still there, but he's getting up there in age. But I say this guy is going to be your third weapon in Minnesota. As going to be the guy. If you give him, like I say, give him late in your drafts, anywhere after the 10th round, if he's still there. Don't be afraid to put him on your bench and let him roll with that.
That is a real interesting because in that division right now,
Hmm.
we could have some turp on turp crime.
Yes.
DJ
Yes.
Moore in Chicago, Ty Felton,
Yeah.
and Stephon Diggs. I mean, so
Mm.
I mean the central. Well, I'm sorry, it's called the NFC North now.
Yes.
I'm
They
so
NFC
old. It
North.
was Central back in the day when the
Hmm.
black and blue division, and that
Yeah.
that division is a murderer's row too.
Hmm.
But Ty Felton is going to make his presence felt in a lot of different ways, largely because of the creative offensive mentality that Kevin O'Connell has. I mean, dude's got a great offensive mind. His playbook is sick. And when you got a Swiss Army knife like Ty Felton can be, I don't think you know how they have positions listed on rosters to let you know what people play. Sometimes they've got something that just says athlete. That would be Ty Felton to me at the NFL level. Hey, we don't know what we're gonna brand him as. I see him on jet sweeps. I see him on curls out of the backfield. I see him on wheel routes. He knows how to run pass patterns. I mean, the world is his, and I think that there's a guy to watch, bro. And really, when you start doing a deeper dive and you start thinking about what's around him and the position that his coaches are going to put him in to do great things. Dark horse rookie of the year. I mean, if things play out and they run Kevin's offense the way I think they will to take advantage of all the weaponry, I'd throw that out there. I put a couple of coins on that if you know that were okay, but it's not. We do not encourage that.
No,
But if it was okay,
for,
I'd understand.
for entertainment purposes only.
And remember, if you find yourself struggling with the mortgage payment or paying your bills, don't bet. Okay?
Mm,
Don't do it. Need
no,
1-800 Gambler is there for everybody. All right?
that is facts. Those are the
That's
facts,
my
Jack.
public service announcement.
And on that
Don't
note,
spend what you ain't got.
yeah, and if you ain't, unless someone gives you a free one, take advantage of the free bets, but don't spend any money you don't have. So,
Nope.
but
No, don't do it. Just not gonna be
this is
prudent.
wouldn't want to do it. Wouldn't want to be prudent. Wouldn't want to do
Can't do it. Ain't prudent. Ain't prudent at this juncture. Not at all.
it. For those
And
who
to
don't know,
think, bro, those were the days.
the great Dana Carvey playing George Bush is kids
Epic.
out there. YouTube Dana Carvey George
Yes.
Bush. Look it up. It's
Saturday Night Live,
fantastic.
please.
Old school SNL. You guys today have the guys doing Trump. We had George Bush, and that was
Yes.
our comedic president of the day. So once again, it has been a fantastic episode of Maryland Live here at the Voice
At
of
least
College
according to
Football.
us. Yes.
According to us, exactly. I think we're our best friend. We're our best fans here, our own best fans. That's what we are. We're going to
I
pat
think
ourselves
so.
on the back. Everyone give ourselves a round of applause. And we will be back next week. Oh, we will be back next week with a actual game breakdown against Florida Lang, as the first game will be on the 30th of August. Can't believe it's this soon. The summer's flown by. Okay.
Dude, you
And
got a smattering of flans around here who are just so overzealous to
yes.
show you their
And-
appreciation. I can't do anything with them.
well, like I said, the kids will know. The kids will show up, and they will be
Let's get ready to rumble!
as the football season starts on August 30th. Man, you're having too much fun with that little thing, or that those key things, because
I don't know what you're talking about here. I have no idea what you're talking about here. Oh no! Somebody, hey, Chuck, I gotta take a look. They're coming to get me.
Oh Lord! All right, we will have more. We will have more fun with these sound clips, these sound bites
Man,
on the hotkeys next week when it comes to when we actually start talking actual games. We're gonna have a
yes,
lot more
meaningful.
fun.
Isn't it great to have meaningful American tackle football rules that mean for that count for something now? We because I hate the NFL preseason. It is godly awful and overhyped as anything ever. Uh,
Mm.
um, I'm ready to see some head knocking that counts.
Yes, that's true. We got the college football starting first, and then NFL after that. So stay tuned to Maryland Live at the Voice of College Football. Professor G, tell them how they can follow you.
I'm at the Sports Groove all over the place in cyberspace on social media. That would be Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, X. You name it, you want me. That's where I am. And of course, MLB Bro. That's right. We're covering baseball through the end of playoffs. So check us out at MLBBro.com. And you will definitely want to see this week's edition of Debatable.
That's right. And you can follow me, as you can see right below, at Charles Younger. That's CharlesNYonga across all forms of social media. So, and you can find me at MLBBro.com with Take That, where I give my takes on the best and brightest and black and brown American baseball players. So, once again, from us to you, we bid you adieu. And thank you very much for tuning in to Maryland Live at the Voice of College Football. Deuces, ooses.
Adios, amigos.